Great, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Belkacem Metennani. I'm based here in Chicago for the last 40 years. And I am a mechanical engineer by training with a master's in processing. I converted to indoor farming in about 12 years ago. And from food processing plants and restaurant business. Now I do indoor farming, and I have a company here in the US, Fruiting Mushrooms LLC, which we produce mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, and specialty mushrooms. And of course, mushrooms are a big world that we can't get into in 2 minutes. And I also started Dar al Filaha in Algeria, which is it's a platform that we are trying to develop to transfer the know-how and the knowledge from United States and all the research that we can get hold of to put them in Algeria and help Algeria with in the field of precision agriculture specifically. Without holding too much here, I think we already spent a good 40 minutes in introduction, which is way too long, but that's okay. We're gonna pass the microphone to Walid. We're gonna do about 30 minutes presentation. I'm going to keep the time for his presentation. And then after 30 minutes, we're going to go to the Q&As, and we should limit it to 2 hours so, you know, it will be plenty, inshallah. Without holding it, تفضل سي Walid.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I will just need the admin right to share my presentation, and then I think it will be
yeah, well, you have
ready to go. Okay, perfect. So yeah, first of all, thank you for everyone to come in and sorry, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I want to thank everyone that is interested and come in and give me this time of his life to see what I can say or what we can say together about the subject of digital agriculture and climate change. So I will start by introducing myself, what I did, my background, and what I'm doing now. I'm an agronomic engineer. I had my agronomic engineering degree in Algiers, and then I did some masters in sustainable agriculture, climate science, and innovation. And then I have initiated some startups in Europe that some of them are now running, some of them was like ended and whatever. So and now I'm doing a PhD in geographical science in University of Maryland. University of Maryland is like one of the leading university in the world when we talk about remote sensing and agriculture, and mainly land use and like Earth observation for vegetation, for water, for climate, and we have like multiple projects and initiatives that has to do, like there's the NASA Harvest project, and that is mainly focusing in monitoring agriculture, monitoring hazards that can impact agriculture. The JEDI team also work in the like, let's say, to make it very simple, having the world in 3D and seeing to like try to map the world in like a 3D way, and and the Global Land and Analysis and Discovery Lab, which work about like mainly about deforestation, land use change, and we're gonna try to go through this in the presentation. So what I will be talking today is the importance of understanding agricultural drought, and I will explain what it is in the face of climate change and the role of digital agricultural tools in this framework. So in the beginning, we're gonna try to understand what's the impact, and then what are the drought proof paths, and then how we can empower action through TOPS, and I will explain what is it. And the idea is like, I will not go to any technical aspects, let's say. I'm trying to do this like for general public, and the idea is like to understand that through research and entrepreneurial initiatives, we can make change and we can have things happen, like we can make them happen in the society or in and have like real impact and the real direct change. So the first thing that I will be talking about is like all this framework is around climate change and food security. And what food security is the people having access all time to a sufficient and safe food, safe and nutritious food. So this is from where we are seeing, like, let's say, this is how we are approaching the question, like from a food security point of view. And what is food security, let's say, in practice? We should have availability of food, access of food, and utilization of food. In my presentation, I will be much more I will be talking here in this site where how we produce the food, are we able to produce it? Do we have the land to produce it? And how can we use remote sensing and satellite observation to understand the cropland, to understand the crop health? So that's mainly where I'll be focusing today. Then what's the link between food security, climate change, and how we can, like, what will be, like, what are the vulnerabilities and how we can overcome this situation? So this is just a framework before we dig into what we are what we'll be like talking about, like agriculture out. And the idea here is like climate change will bring a certain external biophysical vulnerability, like drought, and will need us to have an adaptive capacity. We need to adapt, we need to change, we need to have then to build adaptive strategies to be able to have a safe and let's say a good food security status. I'm talking here at the country level. How are we going to use this? We're going to use this, let's say, we're going to approach this using remote sensing. Why remote sensing? Because remote sensing is a way that helps us to understand the world in a large scale and with interconnected parameters from temperature, rainfall, cloud, humidity, soil moisture. We can see many things, and we will see after that those things are not very, let's say, sometimes not accurate, sometimes need like data in field. So this is just a framework for what I will be talking about. Now, let's start about like what we are, where we are, and what we're talking about. Algeria is one of the largest African importer of food. So we import so much food. Before like COVID, 70%, 75% of our need were imported. And the problem is, as you see here, our yields for, like, for example, cereals are very low. It's like we have like a maximum of two ton per hectare, while in the same region, let's say Egypt, do 6 tons per hectare. And in the same time, we have very low, like from all the, like the big country we have only 3.6% of Arab land. So the Arab land is very low, and these numbers are also that we're not sure that we have 3.6. We don't know how much we really have, but we have a tiny land. And the problem also is like climatically, we're having like the drought is the main driver of yield loss, not only, but it impacts a lot. So we don't really master our food, like agricultural production, but also we have climatic conditions that make it harder. We can divide the agricultural system in Algeria into. So we have in the north, very long established local practice, mixed agriculture, smallholder that base their agriculture in rain. And then now, because we think that we are in a very, let's say, not good position in terms of food security, we are going to the south and we are pumping water and produce so much food just because we feel like, I mean, we don't have choice, let's say. It's just very hard to, I mean, it's a complex situation because imagine you are like at the country level, you try to produce food in your traditional like regions where you have sometimes rain and you have drought, and then at the same time it doesn't work. So you go in the south because you have underground water, you pump it and you produce food, but in the same time, you know, it's not sustainable. It's hard because it's just like an artificial agriculture. You're doing agriculture in the sand, pumping water and putting inputs. It's not a soil. It's just sand. That's like the idea. So, but then the problem is like in the north you have agricultural drought. What does mean agricultural drought? Agricultural drought, if you have to understand it very simply, is that you have a deficit in soil moisture. Like the soil have less water available for the plant and less like in like one time, but then over time also we have like a decrease of the capacity of holding this water. And here we can see like the impact, the relative anomalies of vegetation that happens in last year, in the season of last year for cereals. And you can see that this is the regions where we traditionally produce cereals, and you can see that it's all red, and it goes also to the whole like Tunisia region. It's just very like last year we had a very serious crop failure that like farmers have lost like 50% of their like expected yield that was already low. But in the same time, the climate change, we don't have like the future is not looking bright, let's say. in the future, in this region where we produce food, that's where we will have the most impact. You can see that we are losing sometimes. This is like a projection for climate change for the coming, let's say, from 70 to 100 years. And the projections are telling us that in this region where we have smallholder agriculture and depend on rain, we'll be having like a desertic climate. That's how the climate is changing. It's going so harshly, and you can see that we're going from yellow to red. Let's say from a temperate climate to an arid desertic in some region, which make it super hard for farmers to produce food. But also, what does it mean? It means like the frequency and intensity of drought will be higher, and we will need irrigation. But in the same time, in the north, we don't have underground water. We don't have like enough infrastructure or capacity to do that much of irrigation, and we have so much competition with like drinkable water. So we are like in a very hard position, and especially in the future, going to be very, very hard in this respect. So, no. And now, like, now what we gonna do? What's the solution? What can we like? How can we approach this? Here, I will start with the main ideas of like digital agriculture and why we are looking at digital agriculture, because we don't have enough network locally of institutions that can provide data, that can provide daily data that is reliable, that can be like, I'm talking about meteorological stations, I'm talking about institutions. Even if they exist, sometimes it's very hard. They are not reliable, and they are not stable in producing like quality data. So what we use satellite imagery. And like satellite imagery are very interesting now because we're moving into, and that I will keep talking about this, and that's actually mainly my subject today is open science, open knowledge. And like NASA recently have started this Transform to Open Science mission, which is an initiative that designed to help regions like ours where we have a problem with the data availability, and the idea is like to access to the data and being able to produce quality science and quality quality research at our local level. I will come back in this in more detail. How digital agriculture like translate into something that we can see. For example, there's the Sentinel-2 satellite imagery, multispectral imagery. This is from ESA constellations, and I'm showing here 6grain, which is a company that that I have had like a chance to work with them in the past, and this is an example of how they transform an image to indicator, like an NDVI, which is normalized vegetation index. And we can have some information from this NDVI, like higher the NDVI, healthier is the plant. Lower is the NDVI, stress is the plant. But those are index, so you cannot apply to be able to apply it to all type of plants. You need to have more in-field data. You need to have local expertise. You need to involve people that know exactly what they're talking about, because we have these indexes, but sometimes it may mean different things for different people in different places in the world. But that's an example how we can translate satellite imagery to like something that we can see in the real world. I mean, yeah. Another way also is digital agriculture can be we can develop this like identification of crops, identification of boundaries, identification of regions, and then we can build a trajectory in the future and what is the productivity index and productivity capacity of some places of the world and some field specifically. We can go from an image, from satellite imagery to like a regional assessment, then to the crop and plant level. That's what I'm trying to say. And then how can we do this in Algeria? And how can we do this in countries that are, let's say, we lack so much capacity. We lack people that are able to do this, because the science exists, the data exists, but we lack organization and we lack capacity to do this. It's like I'm not inventing anything, and I will not talk about anything that I'm doing in terms of scientific work. I will be talking mainly about how working together in open science we can do this. So what we did with collaboration of many people that are here and other they are not, we developed two projects: the Drought Shield program and the Open Climate Science for Agriculture program. And we did it in Algeria. Well, we did it here in the US, but in collaboration with people in Algeria and involving people and Algeria and Egypt mainly. So what's the Drought Shield program? It's a program to empower community for sustainable agriculture and climate resilience. The first objective is we need to enhance the technical capacity for operational people. So we need to have people that are able to be operational on using this data and operational to use these technical ideas. The second aspect is we need to enable access to actionable data for decision making. We have so much data. We have so much, people are producing so much great science, but the problem is to translate it to action. How can we turn it to something real? And the third problem is we need to build communities that work in the same, toward these actions. Because you may have one, you can do something alone by yourself, but it doesn't work if we don't address it as a group or as a community where we can contribute each other. And the fourth thing is awareness and knowledge sharing. And that's what I'm trying to do. The idea is we need to involve everyone and tell them what's going on. And we need to communicate more. And we need to talk about the situation more and more and more. So through the Drought Shield program, we think it in this aspect. So we need to train agro-technicians. What does mean agro-technicians? The people that are in contact directly with farmers. We have I think also in all African countries, we have so much a big network of what we call in Algeria DSA. It's a directorate of agricultural services. There's so many people, and they go they talk to farmers, and we have access to these farmers. But the problem is like we are not transferring the good information. We are not saying the good things, and we don't have impact through this network. The other network is technicians that are working for big companies or fertilizer companies or pesticide companies. Those guys are able to have an impact because they need to sell, and they have something to sell, and we are not able to do the same. To say the right practices, what we need to do, because I cannot say like, oh, we need to, there's no magic, like, oh, we need to do this to fix all the problems. It doesn't work like this. You need to know farmers, you need to work with them, you need to help them, and you need to have the right tools, and you need to have the right understanding. And then we need to train also students and farmers to contribute in these initiatives. And then we want to put this in one place, and organize it through documentation and outreach. What does it mean? Agro-technicians, we need to train them in using remote sensing, GIS tools, soil moisture instruments, and we developed a program where we can bring them here and take researchers from here to Algeria and develop this community. Second aspect, train students and farmers, and the idea is like everyone can contribute. The idea is I'm trying to talk about the citizen science idea, where everyone has a phone, and we can use our phone to collect data to have a better understanding of what we are facing. Because the problem is like we're having big informations, large information, large projects that are applied globally, but we lack local information, and we lack local contribution and involvement. The third aspect of the project is to summarize everything in this geoportal data, where in one, let's call it a website. In this website, we're going to collect everyone's contribution. What does mean everyone's contribution? You have your phone, you just take a picture, and you tell us that, oh, what we are seeing here, it's a field of wheat. Because using satellite, you can see something, but you cannot see everything. You can tell us, oh, this is a protected area. And then we can turn it into maps that we can use it for our monitoring, and we can understand what's going on and provide the right solution. But we need involvement of everyone. And the fourth aspect is, I think one of the limitations we are having is the few experts that exist in our field don't reach the population and don't reach everyone. And we have a sparse community. What we are trying to do is to build a community, but also create vulgarization, doing more vulgarization, more outreach, and more extension by accessing people. I mean, we thought about many things, but one of them was creating videos, short videos in Algerian, in Berber, in whatever language people will understand, to talk about climate change, and to talk what is climate change, why you can contribute, how you can your daily life can be impacted, and how you can also contribute. So we created a program in this aspect, and we see, I mean, we're trying to, we had some advancement we're seeing. And this is also the announcement. We're running a marathon in Death Valley by the 2nd of December to raise money for the project. So me and many American colleagues also are trying to run the marathon just to attract attention and have attention. And we are also calling for your help also to raise funds for this project to be implemented in Algeria. And we go back for this after a few minutes. The second aspect we did is with NASA. We worked into through this initiative of open science to give access to the Algerian community data that is targeted to Algeria, and to build capacity for Algeria and create codes that can be used by the Algerian scientific community through an open science and open access framework. So what we did with the École nationale supérieure agronomique and the Egyptian Space Agency and NASA through their fund, we created this program for open computing climate science, where we address, like, we try to understand the climate, water resources, crop, soil health, and climate anomalies through this program to empower the students and the researcher on how to use, like, the codes and the data. And we did it in Algeria. We developed it in Arabic, and in French and in English. And the idea is we are delivering it this year, early 2024 in Algeria for multiple institutions and for the Algerian students. And we have like experts from here that will be coming there. And the idea also is to create a dynamic of exchange and the dynamic of help. This project is already funded, so I don't need to run a marathon again. But so it will be implemented early 2024. What does it mean is we created an open climate science curriculum where we use partially like computing for climate, but computing for climate in Algeria, helping people to leverage all this data and all this information that it already exists and target it to Algeria. So what I'm trying to say is climate change is seriously like threatening Algerian food security. How we can face it, like the only thing we can invent is by collaborating together through an open science and let's say direct impact. And what I'm trying to say also is like there is a hope problem in Algeria, and that's what I'm trying to like say a lot. It's like Algerians are as smart as everyone at NASA, and there's nothing special. We have here more resources, and if you take the data, take the tool that exists, you can do whatever you want, and we just need to do them. And I think that's it. Thank you. We don't hear you, Belkacem.
Your mic is off.
Yes, thank you, Walid. That was very good, very well and eloquent, and very timely as well. So I will start with my first question is that I see the connection between my project of Dar al-Filaha and what you said with regard to training the Algerian farmer, technician, engineer, and students. Can you elaborate a little bit more and tell us what is your approach in that field? Because education, in my opinion, is the key here to educate people on how so we can protect ourselves.
Yeah, basically what I'm trying to say, I know perhaps I'm saying also in an annoying way. It's like everything exists already. There's like many countries or people are working here and advanced science and advanced so much. They did so much work that it's a very good opportunity for us to just jump in. What I'm trying to say is we have few people, but it's not enough. We have few quality people, and it's not enough. We need more. We need so much people that are able to code, for example, in this specific question for digital agriculture and for climate science. They need to be able to code, and they need to be able to leverage the data. They need to be able to communicate it well. And that's what I'm trying to do. So in this, that's why I put it this slide. What we did is we created a curriculum for students in Algeria and for technicians in Algeria to get them to a level where we can work together in quality work and we can leverage the data and the science that already exists and the code and adapt it to us. But that, because that's the most important thing. It's like the solution that work for the US won't work for Algeria, but they exist and we can mimic them or work with them.
Okay. Sil Akhdar, you raised your hand. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you. Very good presentation, Walid. I have a question for you. Which university are you working with in Algeria?
So we work with École Nationale Supérieure Agronomique for this project specifically, for the TOPS one. We're working also with the University of Boumerdès. Rilas is here, I think. We're working with University of Sétif also. We're trying to build more connection. That's the thing. That's the problem. And you know, I spend, let's say, in this type of project, I will spend 80% of my time not to develop the program, but to have access to people, call the guy, to call the guy, to call the guy, to have authorization, and that's the problem, and that's very, very annoying and hard. But we're doing it. That's what we have.
When you say we're doing it specifically, what is it that you are, in addition to trying to get all these connections? Is the course that you are developing something that is going to be included in the curriculum for the program? Or is it something that's timely, just do it in one time and we're done? What's the sustainability? The question is, what's the sustainability of this program?
Oh, yeah, sure. We started with this idea. It's like, that's why we're talking about open science, open access in French and in Arabic. So what we're doing is like we create a program with the universities. We have collaborators from INSA and from the Egyptian National Remote Sensing Agency. Together, we develop the program, adapted with examples, for example, for Algeria and for Egypt. Okay, we create the code and we give them the code. We give the program to the school, to the university, in French. We deliver it and we give it. It's in the web, in the website, in the repository that we stay here forever. When forever people want to use it. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, no. The more specifically, are they going to incorporate this in their curriculum?
That's what we are trying to make them do.
Because it's very difficult to change the curriculum in some of these places.
So what we are doing it, we did it. We are doing it in 2024 as a one-shot thing. We're doing it as one year for like 1 month, or where we have the PhD students and early career researchers to work with them in 1 month to deliver the curriculum, give them the curriculum, help, and also get some more mature, let's say, researchers or teachers to be with us and be more able to teach it in the future. So that's what we are doing. To incorporate it, it's their job. I mean, you know, we're putting it there, we're putting it online, we are going there. We are like getting money from NASA to do this. We got the money, we developed it, we are giving to them. We're doing it 2 rounds in 2024 and 2025. And then, you know, and it's online, open access, open, you know.
Then you pray.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, so Lakhdar, he is in this field of education and introduction of courses, and that's what he does for a living, and I'm sure that's why he's asking these questions more specific. I also,
if you allow me, near done, I want to introduce myself a little bit more.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let me finish this. So there is also, I would like to say to everyone that specifically here to Walid regarding this introduction of courses, there is a group that we work with, Mohammed Rashidin and Jama'a, and they actually did last year, and they did give some courses through different universities from Tlemcen, Tizi Ouzou, Algiers, Ain Mlila. And they're trying to get, it's not on the curriculum, it's not easy to change the curriculum in Algeria, which makes sense. You know, it's not anyone who can bring something and say we're going to teach and they will take it in for many reasons. So it's only logical to go through a certain process. But they are trying, and they did it last year. And I will forward you on due time the connections and to see how they're proceeding and how they are doing it. So hopefully that can help you get your point a little bit further, your plan a little bit further. Yeah, I have Lakhdar, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and say we forget about you earlier because you for whatever the old people, you know.
That's okay.
But go ahead, and I have a couple other people who raised their hands. We will get back to you, Nazim or Abdul Rahim, in a minute, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Belkacem. First of all, it's nice to see all of you here. Some of you know that I am also co-founder of the association with Mohammed and others. Our association is here in Florida. Beyond the association, I work for Florida International University. I've worked there for a number of years. So I've been in academia for about 20 years now in the US, and 20 years prior to that, I was in the private sector. My job deals with international programs. So all my activities are based mostly outside of the United States. And I focus again, mostly on, like Belkacem said, on capacity building, both institutional and human capacity building. So I've got currently a project in South Africa. I have one in Botswana. Going to Zimbabwe. Someone, I think Riles earlier said he's doing some work in Zimbabwe. So I'll be spending a month there. So lots of the work I do. I also just completed a project in Algeria. And one of the first, if not the first US project in Algeria, I did that in 2009 with the university there in Constantine. So there are lots of opportunities to work with Algerian universities. And that's why I was asking the question earlier. We can do a lot with people directly, but I think, you know, what we have to focus on is the institutional part of it. How can we make these programs sustainable? How can we have access to people without spending 80% of the time, like Walid said, trying to get something going? And with all the changes that are happening, and you probably know that Algeria is getting rid of the LMD program or approach to higher education. So it's a constant change. And one last thing I want to mention, myself and 4 other colleagues, 5 actually, 3 from France and 2 from Algeria, we wrote a book a couple of years ago about the Algerian higher education system. And it's the first of its kind, and I encourage you to read it. You can find it on Amazon. It's for sale in Algeria, various libraries, and we actually just printed the second edition of that book. So there are lots of things we can do, but until and unless, you know, the institutional aspect is taken care of, it will be very difficult to get anything done a comprehensive way at the national level. We can do lots of things with different universities individually without connections, but there are several other things I'm doing, you know, the University of Constantine, University of Paris. But I think if we have to look at how can we develop this program further. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Merci, Belkacem.
Thank you. We'll move on to Nazim, if you want to go ahead and say what you have to say.
Sure. Thank you. So first of all, thank you, Walid. That was a great presentation. I really like the initiative. I have more like a practical question for you. So like I mentioned to you last time we had a call, I already worked with some farmers in Algeria that want to adapt some technologies. So last year we worked with a farmer that implemented the moisture and humidity sensor with the GSM alerts. So I was wondering, how do you think those types of projects could benefit or get integrated with the open science platform? Like, I understand about the documentation and education part, but do you think there is a way to go the other way around? Or I was just thinking about it, so I thought you may have better ideas.
Yeah, sure. Let me share with you like something else. Okay, I will just share an example from the East African what they call East African drought watch.
Mhm.
So, and how this like drought watch, I just find it, and yes, there you go. Let me share this. Do you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, perfect. So the idea is like what they did in East Africa is they didn't create data, new data at all. They just pointed existing data in one viewer. We can go explore the map. Those guys did a great job. You have like standard precipitation indexes, for example. You have at the country level, regions that will be having a drought. This is like now real time, but we can also do forecast data. We can look in the future, in the near future. So what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to say, and what I'm trying to do also through the drought shield, imagine the same thing here, okay? But with much higher resolution. Like other type of work is hydroblock.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but all of them are satellites data, right? We're only talking satellites.
Exactly. So the idea is to do a fusion of what you just said. Do you see this second thing, which is like
Yes.
hydroblocks? Perfect.
Yeah.
So in the US, at the US level, what they do, there is this initiative called SMAP hydroblock, which is SMAP is the satellite soil moisture active passive satellite. So it's able to give us a soil moisture information. But this information is so coarse. Imagine like it's a very low resolution, which means like you have one data point for 9 kilometers. Like from but then what they did, they downscale it to using soil moisture data, in-field soil moisture data. We combine both and to have something like this in a very high resolution. Here, you know exactly at this level, at this field, for example, you have that level of moisture, and that's how farmer can use it. Let's say, because the satellite data is there. But what we are missing, like what we don't have, like the US have, is a network of soil moisture.
Okay.
And that's what we are trying to do also through the program. Is like get farmers to work with us. If I have a field where I put just a soil moisture and I need to have it in real time, I can fuse it with a satellite image, and they have a real, like a model, let's say, an approximation, a better approximation of a soil moisture at the field level. And that's the idea. That's how we can help farmer. I don't know if I answered.
You exactly answered the question I have. Exactly what I wanted to know. So the API works both ways. So if I have a sensor, I can figure out with Open Science how to send you guys data.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. That's very nice.
There is actually they do other things for pulvilometry, the rain amount per year. I have a friend of mine who unfortunately is not with us today, Brahim Jerbia, the president de la Chambre d'Agriculture de la Wilaya d'Alger. In his farm, he has a good sized farm, about 40 hectares, if I'm not mistaken, Sidi Moussa. And he has a station that works with some agency based in Vienna, and they have sensors and they have instruments on the farm, And they also have it at different universities and other farms where all the data is collected and sent to Vienna, and then from there included in the global polarimetry concept, so they have better data. And I think what Walid is trying to do about soil moisture will be complementary to a station like that, and hopefully. Of course, you can't put it in every square kilometer, but you can put it per region, multiple stations, and that will give us at least a general idea of where we are when it comes to polarimetry. And I think that's what, or soil moisture for that matter. And I think that's what Walid is trying to do with his startup idea. And I'm sure, to me at least, it's new, but it's coming soon. That your idea will be, we've been working with other people trying to see how the process go with regard to the regulations, and as we talked before, and how is what are the laws in Algeria to be able to do these things. It has a lot of political and security issues that have to be looked into before we can. But the idea is out there. It's an excellent idea. It will help everybody, whether it's schools or farmers, which lead to a better productivity and better production and better projection. Having said that, I will move into Si Abdurrahim. تفضل. If I'm not in order here, سمحولي. I'm sorry. Whoever raised their hand first, يتفضل. Abdurrahim.
Hey, thank you. Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, تفضل.
Okay, so thank you, Walid, for the presentation. It was really great. So I have a first question, but I would like to start with two small comments just to come back on your introduction, because you talked about the low yields of cereals, mainly, I think, in Algeria. So I think we have a serious problem, let's say, of land use management in Algeria, because it's true that the arable land is really few, but each year half of that land is in fallow. That means it's not cultivated. So that's like a big point when we talk about food security in Algeria, and I think it's ignored. And there are many other factors also that are in, let's say, lead to those low yields. I will just cite mechanization or mastering of the management of the crops, and some agroeconomic policies also, like the subvention, etc. And the second comment is about like you mentioned, the Saharan agriculture. So I'm really happy to hear all what you said, because sometimes when we hear policymakers in Algeria, or even some scientific colleagues, let's say, when they speak about Saharan agriculture, it makes me really afraid. So you talked about a lot of things that we can do, and you said data exists, everything exists. So I'm not sure I do agree with all of this, but let's take the example of satellite images. Can you please precise more about those sources, the resolution of those images, and what we can do if they are on open access, etc., and how can they help, let's say, to implement a real national system of land use? Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So you are talking, and I in purpose share my screen just to see how easy we can access certain type of data. But also, like for example, I will give an example of like all climate data. Like this is an amazing opportunity or an amazing initiative that have been done by the climateengine.org. It's an initiative that let me just Okay. So you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So the thing is, they need this, which is the Drought Institute, the American Drought Institute, and mainly NASA. They created this, like it's just a big version of what we wanted to do, but it has different aspects. So we have what they did. They created a place where everyone can go and download the data that exists for climate. But for example, I want to look at precipitation. This is like at the global level, the data we have, and then there's like this, and the others are like at the regional level. Cool, perfect. But then the problem is, and we have this data from like 1991 and sometimes even before. But you can see that the resolution is 4.8 kilometer. What does mean is like every four, like we divide the world in squares, and in a square that has 4.8 to 4.8 kilometer, you have one information, which doesn't work for us, especially for agriculture. Because as you see here, like agricultural fields are very, very small. That's the first aspect. So we have data, there is, let's say, satellite data, imagery. We don't know where is it. We don't know how to get it. Sometimes it's very hard to get it, but it exists. There is other initiatives, like the Sentinel 2 product. There's like, they create these browsers, for example, where you can go and you want to find an image of Sentinel-2. You search, oh, this image, see, you visualize, and then you can download. Those images has a resolution lower, which is like a 20 to 30 meter resolution, and it can give us some insights. This type of also product, like serial map product, this was created by the World Serial Project at the ESA, the European Space Agency. There is so many products at a global level, but what we are missing, we are not adapting this product for our needs. Those guys, what they did, they are telling us that agriculture in this region, this is the product, this is like where is agriculture. When we dig in, for example, I go to Ouaret, and you can see that there is so many errors. It doesn't work for us. There are so many myths here. Okay, for them, this is not agriculture. So that's the type of work I'm talking about. I thought where we can make this product much more accurate for our case, because the people that develop this product, they have done them for their use, and they adapt them for their needs at the global level. They didn't look at the local level. If we go for example, in here, like in Biskra, you go and you see that it's a mess. We don't know, because we need experts locally to tell us. We give them the image, they go, oh, they tell us here is agriculture and this is a greenhouse, and then I go to a machine learning or deep learning algorithm, tell her, whenever you see this signature, this like a spectral signature, call it, let's say, cereal. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, there is data, but it's not adapted to us. If we wanted to adapt it, we need to work. If we need to work, we need people to work together. If we need people to work together, we need them to have like the same level of understanding. And we have like a community that can work together to create adapted and product that are useful for us. I don't know
what is the best Walid, what is the best way to complete this data? Because this is wonderful to have all this imagery available to us. All we have to do is to make sure that they have the right info and the right data. How we go about that? What's your recommendation? Who should do that besides the government? I mean, at the level.
And that's what I talk about in like citizen science. Everyone can do that. That's what I'm trying to build or trying to engage people to do. You, with your phone, if I give you the right instruction, you're like living in the city here, and you go and you have your phone and tell me that, oh, Because you see, like, this is an actual image. Huh? This is a very good example. This is an actual image, but when I zoom, it's not a good resolution because the resolution is not adapted. This is the highest we can get, we can have. There is other type of imagery. This is the highest we can have, let's say, for free. There is other type of imagery that have much higher resolution, and where we talk about 30 centimeter, 50 centimeter of resolution. But for now, we don't even have the ones that are free. We are not using them. We can leverage the new ones. We can leverage like the planet data, Maxar data that are very high resolution. But we are not doing even the free one. That's what I'm trying to say. So let me go back to your example. I go to like someone here. You are in this region. You use your phone. We train you how to use your phone. You point this. You give me the GPS. Let's say example, huh? You give me GPS coordination position. Tell me where I am. It's, let's say, cerealiculture, greenhouses. Okay. You move on. You tell me this is an early plantation of palm trees. Then what I will be doing, I will be incorporating your information in my model. And whenever I see a signature spectral that is the same that the greenhouse, I will be able to I will use information as a model for that period of the year, for that moment, for this position, it's greenhouse. And then I will be able to have a much more accurate information.
So what you're saying is basically we have to remap Algeria hectare by hectare. Every section has to be mapped using a certain process, and then to complete the map, so the map is clearer, is more accurate, and but we have to do it one hectare at a time, or 1 hour at a time.
That's what I'm trying to. That's not exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that we can leverage collection of data to train. We don't have to go to every hectare. We need to go to every specific region, take an example, like with few data, with few people that engage, we can have a better understanding. If we can have like 10 people for 10 regions telling us what's going on, we can have a better, accurate, and a more and better understanding. We don't have to map every place, because now in Algeria, I can tell you that they don't know how much agricultural land they have, for sure, and officially they don't know.
I know.
Early this year, the president himself declared that we don't know how much agriculture statistics were, like the agriculture statistics were false, and they know that it's false, and they just don't have the right process to do it, and they just and it's hard because, for example, I will give you a very practical example. I try to work with a director of the DSA or Chamber of Agriculture okay. If he give me data, he may go to jail. Yeah, because it will be like intelligence with the enemy.
They do have that data. I know for a fact they do have that data. The Chambre d'Agriculture, they are very they have everything, but to share it, to have them to do it, that's the step to.
But we don't see there is no real impactful product. It doesn't lead to anything.
No, they're just sitting on it. Yeah,
and we cannot even question the quality. We don't know what's the quality of this data, because I asked 3 people from the same source. They give me 3 types of information. So I cannot trust anyone. I cannot use this data. I need to create my own.
Okay. Well, you know,
sorry.
I see what you're saying here. I will definitely, we can start somewhere, just to be practical. As a mechanical engineer, I like to be very pragmatic, and you know, we can talk to the Chamber of Agriculture of Algiers and see to use it as a model to what you are trying to achieve here on this particular point, and see what kind of data they have, and maybe we can create that model that we can replicate elsewhere. I will move to Mohammed Bedrouni. اسمح لنا Mohammed, we took a little time here. If you want to go ahead and then we move to Abdul Qadir after you. Thank you.
Okay. I think Walid and I talked a few months ago about this project, and my question to you: are you still going to go to Algeria to do some follow-up research? Number one. So when are you going? What is the plan? And also, if you don't mind, summarize the topic of your research in one page in French, so I can help you with more contact in the country.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you are the first person I have interacted with in the association. That was very nice, and and thank you so much for for everything. And I want to say that it's very interesting to see how people are engaged in Algeria, and how you talk to people you never know, you have never talked with, and the first 5 minutes, like, they will be like, oh, okay, let's get things done, and let me help you. And it's very, very interesting. It's just like mind-blowing how there is so much willingness, but it's also very hard to get things done. It's just frustrating. So yeah. So for your to answer you, I'm going to Algeria. Like, the plan is to go in Algeria in late December, beginning of January, to deliver the classes for the computing for open science. Like, that's like objective number one. Let's say that's how I paid for my trip. So I'm going there because I'm going to teach open computing science for climate and for agriculture. And then in parallel, I'm doing my fieldwork for my research in one sentence, which is the impact of drought in agriculture and food security in Algeria. So what I'm trying to understand is how drought, which is an extreme climatic event for our region that have very low moisture and have a water problem, and how this impacts the agriculture and then food security in Algeria. So that's mainly what I will be doing. How I address it in my research through understanding soil moisture at the field level, at the farmer level. Like, when I say field level, it's like 1 hectare, 2 hectare, and then extrapolate for every region, and to see how these patterns change and how we can adapt them. Like, what we do, early warning system. What this means is, like, how early a farmer needs an information, when a farmer needs information about drought, and how we can deliver it. Do we understand this? Like, do we understand how the drought is changing? We don't really understand. We have the big picture, but we don't know what's going on in the field or at the regional level. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't know if I answered your question.
So are you still going?
Yes. I'm going I will be in Algeria from December to May, and I will be working with the AAASTE. That's what I'm trying to work with.
Okay.
Not sure.
What is, if you don't mind, what is AAASTE? Because some of us don't know.
Yeah. It's the Center for Research, CRS, Center for Research for Arid region, and it's in Biskra. It's a very, I mean, they're doing a great job. They work, but it's very hard to get things done in administrative level, because you need convention, you need so much layers. It's like, and that's what we are trying to do. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, if you don't mind sending me like a 1-page summary in French of the research project and what you want to do, the cost for you, and what you help the area, what you might need, and I will send it to my contact in Algeria. So hopefully, they might support your project.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. We'll go to Sir Abdul Qadir. Shall I be?
Yeah, thank you, Walid. This is really important and critical and scary at the same time. and what you're doing is really the first step into hopefully addressing this issue of drought and climate change. I'm not, this is the first time actually I learned about these things, and I want to thank you for that and thank the organizer of the presentation. How can we help? I mean, what can we do to help in any way or shape or whatever we could do?
The easiest way to answer this is give money. Yeah.
That's probably, yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably, yeah, it's a no-brainer, as you say, but some other things too. I mean,
sure.
technically, we do have a wealth of technical knowledge that we can help with.
I think the first thing that we need to do is to create thematic communities, like a community of people that work in one thematic and address one problem or two or three. The idea is like we need to address, we go one step. Like we cannot address everything, you know, and then we can, I think the first step is create community of people that work together and build communities of people working together. I have many like international collaborators that are expert in what they do, and they are willing to go to Algeria to deliver, for example, training. And that's a very good opportunity because it's not easy to convince real serious world-class researcher or world-class people to come there and to make it and deliver. And also the second thing is like we need to be able to have these communities and then to create some pop-up project that everyone will work in something. Like the project of Dar Fila has very interesting in this aspect because it has the idea of an incubator of like, come with your idea, we're working about agriculture, come with your skills, and we're gonna help you to target one specific problem and improve our understanding on it. Because what we have is like a lack of collaboration and a lack of like meaningful project. We have so much like wishful thinking, wishful project, like, oh, let's go to change whatever, but it doesn't work because we are going with like an idea of, sorry for what I'm saying, but it's sometimes an ex-colonizer thinking. It's like, let's go and help and teach these people in Algeria how to do whatever their daily life.
Have been waiting for 30 years for this.
Just one follow-up question very quickly, Belkacem, if you don't mind.
So,
from what I see, from what I understand, is you really need people on the ground to implement what you're proposing. You need either volunteers or people that you pay to do the work.
Exactly.
And then, so logistically, that might be a bit of a challenge for you, given the bureaucracy that we can, we all know about. So I don't know how you're going to approach that. How are you going to address that to be able to implement the project?
So yeah, my approach, the first thing was is to create the base. Like I was like, okay, it's hard, as we all know, it's complicated. And then what? We do nothing? No. We create the program, we created the material, we created everything, and we are creating the approach. And then we're going layer of layer. I'm like, what is the minimum thing we can do that is meaningful? If I go by my own and create some maps that improve our accuracy of understanding, we're good. If we arrive at 70%, that's good. With more people, we're gonna be able to get it to 80. But from nothing to 70, that's amazing. And that's my approach. It's like going layer by layer. For example, with the University of with the École Nationale Supérieure Agronomique, we have a research project. We're involving 2 master students that they will be working. For example, one will be working in water, the other will be working in cropland development, and then we will create something. These 2 master students will be expert of what they're doing, and that's already an achievement at my level, But then if we can get other people involved, the impact will be bigger. But I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's my
great, yeah,
my approach. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's That's it's a very good question, Abdul Qadir, on how to proceed and how you're going to implement your project, how you're going to try to be working. It's a very good question, and as Walid was saying, is basically the first step. What is the first step? The first step is really to have him and his project, his idea in the field in one spot. Spot number one. We are working on that. We are working on the administrative part, the legal part, the intellectual property part, the startup part, and then we get to the land. We have few people who are willing to use his project and offer us the space to where to put our tent, basically, if you will. So, and we are working on that. It's been only a few months since we connected and we started this thing, but I think there is it takes time. It's a little extra time by us, but it's still cooking. It's cooking, and I think once we have one station, that means we eliminated all the processing needs. Are covered, then expanding and it will be much easier. But we are working on that, and yes, that's the approach, and it's also not only for his project. I see it as for other things, that other startups, that other ideas that can be implemented. Like I was saying about Muna and Miriam, they both have startups, and they are looking for a place to start and how to communicate, because it's all connected. It's all about agriculture. It's all about food, and we are all in this under the same umbrella. I will go now to see Omar. Thank you for your questions, guys. Omar, تفضل خويا.
Yeah, thank you, Walid, for this informative presentation. Just to extend on the ways like to help with the project implementation in Algeria, in case that Wargla could be a good case study for your project or one of the units, I will be glad to connect you with the research center there, since I have like an ongoing PhD on like groundwater resources management there. So I will be glad to connect you with the research center there. Yeah, thank you.
Here you go.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because I was trying to get in touch with them because they created a new center, right? This is the center of arid agriculture, I think. They created center of like a new center in Wargla, right? I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing.
I'm talking about the University of Wargla. So there is 2 research centers. I mean, like 2 research groups, and there are some other agricultural kind of government institution like CDARS and others. But
yes,
yeah. So, but starting by the University of Wargla, you can expand like to other.
You see,
yeah,
that's exactly the same the type of thing that I do a lot and spend so much time to do. I'm like going to universities, trying to get someone to talk to someone to tell them, look, there is expert, we have material, we have like we can come there and deliver the program. What do you need? How can you help us? We cannot pay for our people to come. Can you pay for them? And that's what I'm doing a lot. And it's a lot of time, but I think it's worth it. And if it works like this, we're gonna do it like this. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, please reach out and we can discuss further. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. We go to Rim now. Thank you, Omar.
Yes, thank you. Well, I wanted to share something. I don't know if I heard everything because I'm working on something else at the same time. I'm preparing for my exams. But anyway, I heard that you were talking about getting the exact data from, you were talking about Chambre d'Agriculture and this stuff. So from my experience, I mean, as an economist and as I used to work at the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, maybe I can share something with you. So what I can say is that from my experience with the farmers, when it comes to work with them, they are very, 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 very careful about 2 things. Actually, the first thing is when you have like new things to give them or to advise them to work with. And the second thing is when it comes to sharing information about even their fields or whatever, like for a farmer, if you go to a farmer and ask him about on what he's working or his production or anything about his land, it's just like going to someone and ask him about his salary or something like very, very, you know, that we don't want to share with everyone. So here comes my question. How do you think that we can make sure these plans will help them and match how they usually think and act, because we know that they are very careful when it comes to sharing their information. And how do you think these farmers, especially the small holders, will like this idea? I mean, to say things clearly, usually for a farmer, if you don't give him things like, you will go to him and tell him, give me this information, I will give you something back. Usually it's money. So if he will not get money or something back, I mean, as a compensation or something, he will be less cooperative. So how do you think we can manage to address this question? And thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
اسمح لي Walid, I just
yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
say for him here. Actually, not all farmers. There are a lot of young people who are engineers who came out of schools, are a little different from the traditional farmer. I understand the suspicion that we have an old farmer, L'Ain, or many other things.
Yeah, sure. I mean, with this category, we will not have problems, I know. But
yeah,
for example, for us, we had at the ministry a direction that is called Direction des Statistiques. So they were supposed to get all the statistics from all the country. I mean, and this data should come from the farmers. So they had many problems to get this data. So that's why I'm asking this question.
I totally understand where you're coming from and what I just want to add that there are open farms. Like we detected about 4 farms that are willing to work with this project. There is one is mine. Muna, her brothers have a farm they're willing to do. Brahim Sidi Musa is willing to do, and there is another friend of mine who has land also all in Metija area. So and they are not looking for any counter thing or anything. Is just they're happy to be part of a project and to help, and they see it. But go ahead, Walid. I'm sorry I cut.
No. It's. I mean, I actually what I want to say is, you're asking. I mean, thank you, my friend, because we have been in the same school before, and it's very nice to see that like Miriam joined the University of Nebraska, and she's working also in climate smart agriculture. Yeah. So the question you're asking is like it's the same everywhere from Kazakhstan to the US to everywhere. It's the same question. Like how when we innovate something and when we want to bring like something new to a place, how people will be adopting it? No, and we cannot force. What we are trying to do is like from our perspective, what we can see, what we see as is the good thing to do. We are trying to like work with demonstration and like you collaborate with some farmers and some people to get it in the field. And then also what I want to mention that there is also many people in Algeria that are doing also great job that we are trying to involve them. They have their network, they have their experience, and they know what may work, what may not work. For example, you have given us an insight now that, hey, if you want to go do something, give some people compensations. And this is the type of expertise that we want from local people or local researcher or the local government. That's why having a network of collaboration that everyone bring his experience is interesting, because no one is like doing magic, you know, and you cannot do it by yourself for sure. So I think like what you're asking is like is the same challenge for everything, for like people to adopt using the phone. It was the same thing. It's like this is an adoption problem, and it go through same pattern for everything. So if we're able to demonstrate that something worked for somewhere, for someone somewhere, it can be adopted everywhere. Perhaps. I mean, you know.
No, it's true. It's very true, you know, and we, as we know everywhere, when if somebody opens a pizzeria at the street and it's doing well, a lot of pizzerias going to open very right away, right? It's a human nature that people will follow the neighbors what works. And yeah, sure, this is something new. It's not only something new, of course, in Algeria or in Africa. It's something new also in the United States. I mean, you said you are in precision agriculture. I know, going through my first farm, which it was the first here in Chicago, indoor mushroom farm, organic, producing organic mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms. And when I need to be licensed by the city, the state, and the county. So when I invited the city to give me the license, told them I want to, start producing so I can sell my products, and they walked in. So mushrooms indoor, mushrooms is usually in the woods out there in the forests. How we going? I don't know how to license you, And then what they did actually is they invited me to a couple of their meetings to adjust certain laws and certain regulations. And now many farms are in the city of Chicago, indoor and basements and things like that. So I think that's the process, like Walid said, is some kind of pattern that we're going to follow. And in Algeria, we will, it might be a little bit longer because we are more suspicious than other places, but that's okay. That's life, we have to deal with it. And inshallah, we try, until we try, we don't know.
Inshallah.
Anyone who has more questions, please go ahead. We have about 10 more minutes to go. So if no questions, I like to take advantage of this forum here and this group of people to introduce the two startups that I was talking about, Muna and Miriam, who are working with Dar al-Filaha. And as a young engineers, female entrepreneur in Algeria, which covers a lot of space right there, to a lot of challenges. And Muna is into actually trying to her startup is regarding production of fertilizers and nutrients for plants and agriculture in general, using waste management process. So we are working on that. At the other end, Miriam is actually just started about a month and a half ago. We start mentoring her in creating her startup in the field also of agriculture, and specifically in the animal feed project, which in Algeria, we don't have milk. Why don't we have milk? Because we don't know how to feed our cows. Why can't we feed our cows? Because we don't have water. That's basically the whole process. So indoor farming, animal feed produced in an indoor environment like wheatgrass and other ingredients being produced in an indoor environment where we use less water, where we are near the farms, much simpler, healthier product to feed our cows so we can have milk all year round, is an excellent idea that we are trying to encourage her to do. I just want to throw these two ideas out there. So for people, like Abdul Qadir, he said he wants to know how he can help. So there is a little platform where you can lend maybe some ideas or can help somehow or be interested in helping in the future. If anyone has any comments, any ideas, please feel free. We still have again 10 minutes so please go ahead.
Very quickly. So the question is how to reach out to you. how to reach Walid or any other entity or person to help with?
Yeah, I put my email. I will reshare it again. So I will write it here, but also it's in the presentation. So that's my email. My name in all social media is the same. Whatever you want, it's like LinkedIn. I use mainly LinkedIn in this regard. So, and this is my email. And I will be very happy to have, like, to interact with you, every one of you individually. And that I think I did, or I do. Like I see Jamin daily, for example. So yeah.
And Mr. Abdulkader, everything is also on the social media of the association. I think that's the whole goal of having our association, is to be able to network between and help each other. So yeah, I think everything is either on Facebook and the official website.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put my my website for the company here, fruitingmushrooms.com, and there is it's a fruitingmushroom@gmail.com, our email. There is all the contact info also. And if needs be for anyone who has any questions or suggestions or ideas that they want us to mentor with Mohammed and Lakhdar, and we work with ICOR from the NSF, so we can mentor you. We can find people who can mentor you in your specific field. That's another way of doing things and how to approach things. Yeah, it's there are a lot of ways out there to help. There is definitely a lot of need, lots of things. I like to tell a story before we close up. One time, a few years ago, before COVID, 2018 or 19, I went to Algeria with my son, who works for Caterpillar. He's an engineer in waste management and compactors, and so they work for Caterpillar. They make all these innovations to manage things. So we were in Algiers and we were hanging out, and I told him, Elias, how do you see the situation here in Algeria? And I was kind of worried that, because you see, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, the light doesn't work, this. And he goes, you know what? I see it as so many opportunities here, man. Everywhere you send, you catch, you can get projects. And I think it's very true. Africa is the same thing. I visited my friend Lakhdar when he was based for many years in Burkina Faso. I visited him there, and we started a little project there at one time. And so many opportunities, so much need. So please don't hesitate. The field, it's a wide, large field open with opportunities, and it's just to look at it that way positively, and فيها خير. That's all we can say, and yeah. Anyone else? Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know, Belkacem, if you allow me.
تفضل. Yes, of course.
Just on this aspect of because I think it's my field in a way, entrepreneurship and startups and entrepreneurship education, and I've been doing that for the past 20 years. I don't believe I am an expert. I learn every day. But I have a lot of experience that I would like to share, especially with Algerian students and entrepreneurs willing to start a business or to start a startup. So in that effect, I don't want to take a lot of time. Please check my website. My LinkedIn page. I post dailies articles on entrepreneurship, on funding, on articles specific, how to, for example, start a business, how to market a business, how to fund a business. Some of them are not really related to Algeria, but from every article you will learn something. I mean, I have heard something for the past 30 years, but every day I read an article, I learned something new. So don't believe that you know everything. The key is really to learn. If you don't know, ask. And if you don't get the right answer, ask again. And don't hesitate to connect. I think that's the key. And ask your questions. Don't find help wherever you need. And please read. That's how you learn the most.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Mohammed, for all your work over the years, and you're still going. Yeah, there is also another option on how to do things is with the U.S. Embassy. They also post a lot of things. Some of them are relevant or not. That depends on everybody. Is the different approach, but. There are also a lot of things being done. As a matter of fact, with INA, they are working right now on a project, and they did a project in June regarding at least language. The English language, where they sponsored a whole series of classes, and they gave them a diploma at the end. Regarding English, since starting September, finally the higher education is in English, or at least some of it will be in English. So they helped with l'École Nationale, l'ENSA, for the teachers and the students to have diploma, to improve their English, which makes things much easier for them on the future. We are coming to the end. If last word, 30 seconds for Walid as Laris. So go ahead and say something, please.
Yeah, I really want to thank you and thank everyone that contributed and came to the this initiative. I think that we just need to work together and get things done. We have very interesting people. There's many people doing great job. So let's just do things together and believe that we can do something, because that's what we miss. It's like a hope that there is something can be done. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Belkacem, I want to thank you for moderating this on behalf of the association. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for participating. Let's keep these things going. Let's look forward to the next one. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And if permitted, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Starting a startup which develops bioactive